particularly graduates come to us and they do an MBA, it's a very big investment. And are you getting a return on investment? Which is obviously one of the important things. I see all the students nodding. Very important. But I did a talk the other day and I looked at some global trends. And then for this conference, I've looked at South African trends. I've narrowed down to South African. Now, what's very interesting is that the South African trends and the global trends are very similar. In other words, employers around the globe want similar things. And that's why I headed this talk, convergence or divergence. What I'm seeing, and here I'm focusing on the South African situation, I'm seeing a divergence between what institutions think they're giving and what employers want. There's a whole lot of surveys, and I haven't loaded these slides with 50 million statistics. Even though I'm finance, I love statistics, but I've avoided that temptation. But I've just kind of combed from a whole lot of different surveys. One of the main ones was in the South African Journal of Human Resources, was one of my main sources. Now, before we talk about the South African situation, we need to understand a little bit of history. And because of systemic factors, mainly to do with investment, and here I'm talking about the old government, which obviously ceased about 25 years ago. A lot of the investment was done on population groups, on demographics. So there's our first disparity. We have some institutions that were very, very well resourced, and some institutions that were very poorly resourced. But for all of these reasons, what we face in South Africa is a shortage of skills, and particularly a shortage of graduate skills. Now, I was just comparing that with the last eminent speaker who was saying that they have the opposite problem. They have a whole lot of skills and not enough demand for the skills. So, okay, I jumped the gun a bit with the slide, but just basically an imbalance of investment, and it's something, and it's become so systemic that 25 years still hasn't managed to wipe the effect of that out. The other big factor that caused a skills shortage was we introduced an affirmative action program very on in our democracy's history to try and redress past historical imbalances. There was a lot of fear, particularly amongst the minorities. A lot fled the country. A lot of labor, a lot of skills migrated. So I just wanted to lay briefly out a couple of the historical reasons why we're sitting in the situation we are. But here's the conundrum. We have the skills shortage, and yet when you talk to employers, they say they can't find the right skills. So this is really goes against logic, doesn't it? But when you talk to institutions or survey institutions are saying we're giving industry what they want. Yet when you talk to employers are saying we're not getting what we want. So what I thought I would do, and might add value to you students, just something to think about, is let's talk a little bit about what employers want. What are they looking for? And I was reading your brochure for this conference, and a lot of your theme as well is soft skills. So in other words, there's a lot of soft skills. Before I get on to that, an interesting fact in South Africa is that what employers are doing, they're looking for more mature graduates. Because our model is a little bit different to yours. What happens is a lot of people do a degree, they then go and work for 4 or 5 years, and they might only come back to our business school when they're 37, 40, 42, at quite an advanced age. Whereas you seem to have, or your model is predominantly people do everything and then go in the workplace. So what's happening here is that employers are looking for mature people who have some kind of experience and who can adapt quickly to their workplace. What are employers looking for? And this is where we start questioning our role as academic institutions, and are we delivering what the market needs? And one of the things that employers are saying in South Africa is that people are very academically orientated. In other words, they have a wonderful set of academic knowledge, but they aren't up to date with trends and developments. For example, what everyone was talking about this morning, about the new trends that are happening, some pretty exciting trends. Artificial intelligence is one. Drones. Can you imagine drones delivering your pizza to you when you're hungry? Or drones delivering Amazon's goods? I was thinking of maybe drone rickshaws, what that would be. But that would be something in the future. So, what employers are saying is that they contend that the academic delivery is not keeping up with what they want, because they find students come there with a whole heap of academic knowledge, but they're not up to date with the trends. They don't know what's happening with the latest trends. And what employers are looking for, and it fits in with the theme this morning, is they're looking for students with a little bit of a different mindset from the industrial bricks and mortar type of mindset to everything this morning is covered by knowledge economies, isn't it? It's about knowledge. So they're looking for people who are agile, who can think, who can analyze, who can be agile in their thinking and their patterns. A lot of the models, if I may just mention an example from finance, which is my area, a lot of the models are very linear, aren't they? They assume a straight line. What happens today, the probability is quite good it's going to happen tomorrow and the day after. Now that thinking is not really that relevant anymore. Employers are looking for intellectual capacity. Again, what they want here is not just people with a whole bunch of knowledge. They want people who've been taught to think. So I always say to my students in the MBA, knowledge is an important part of what we do, the knowledge transfer. But more important, when you come out of this class, I want you to be able to think. So you can think about different situations. You can think in a flexible, agile manner. Obviously, communication skills, personal grooming were very important items in the survey. And this is something that you stress here at this college, I know, about communication, grooming, also workplace etiquette. What employers are finding is that candidates come into the workplace and they don't understand workplace etiquette. So they don't understand how to behave. They don't understand the culture of the business. Every business has a different culture. What about that? Okay. Here's another one, is that we find a lot, and I found it in India as well, is unrealistic expectations by graduates. So graduates, they get their graduation and then they get their MBA, and they're expecting to walk into high-powered, high-paying positions. And that doesn't always happen. That's not reality. Often you need to start at a lower level, sometimes lower than you would want, because you've got loads to pay back, you're looking for ROI, but sometimes you've got to use it to get into companies. Now in South Africa, I've seen graduates who aren't employed, because they're waiting for the big one. You know, the big fish with the big money. And I often say to them, rather go and accept a job at a little bit of a lower rate now and work your way up to the big one. And then also the last thing I want to mention is what employers are finding is that their candidates or their new employees are not self-managed. It's something I talk a lot to my students about self-management. Because here in institutions we tend to manage you quite closely, don't we? You're told when to come to class, you're told what to do, you're told when to hand in assignments, you're told when exams are. When you get in the workplace, nobody micromanages you. So I think it's something, one of the most important things on my whole list here is, okay, I've got 2 minutes, okay, but I promise you I'll make it. Okay, one of the most important things is the self-management. One of the speakers earlier talked about self-reflection, knowing yourself, and that's important. I hope there are not too many more slides or I'm in big trouble. Okay, but I think I should be all right. This is near the end. What's the solution to this? From a macro point of view, and obviously that is what this conference is about, is to get organized business, academic institutions, and organized labor together and to come up with solutions. So we've come up with a solution where academia suits or makes their syllabus more agile and makes their syllabus suited to industry and also get the backing of organized labor. Thank you very much, guys. Thanks for your time.